X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, is being probed by the European Commission over the spread of, quote, violent and terror-related material connected to the war in the Middle East. The EU's industry chief has given X a 24-hour ultimatum to stop the spread of misinformation, citing a new digital media law. X CEO Linda Yaccarino says it is taking action to delete accounts or label thousands of posts related to the conflict that was incited by Hamas over the weekend. Joining us now is Yotam Ophir, University of Buffalo communications professor. Obviously, this has been a persistent problem for social media companies, Yotam, and you could argue it has only gotten worse under Elon Musk and Linda Yaccarino, and now this conflict even more highlighting it. How does X even begin to sort of try to fix this problem?
I don't think that X or Twitter before that are even trying to fix the problem. I think that the flow of information in an unfiltered way was one of the things that Elon Musk was aiming for. Since he took over the company, content moderation had been non-existent, with a sharp rise in anti-Semitic, racist, misogynistic content, and these days misinformation connected to the conflict in the Middle East.
Yotam, would X say in response, what about community notes as a way to correct misinformation?
The amount of misinformation on X is beyond something that individuals like you and me can fix. It's a systematic problem. It's a problem that has to do with the lack of regulation in the United States. I'm happy to hear that other countries, including the European Union, are moving towards doing more. But at the moment, putting the burden of identifying truth and false during a conflict full of uncertainty on individuals, on citizens, on users is just not reasonable in my view.
Do you think then that the U.S. does need to regulate this as well?
Absolutely. For many years, we decided to treat technology companies like Twitter and Facebook as if they have nothing to do with media. We basically, due to something called Section 230, we decided that they are not responsible for anything that's happening on their platforms. The result was that the only motivation that big companies, tech companies have these days to moderate information is if it hurts their bottom line financial interests. We must do more to regulate the flow of information in today's information reach and misinformation reach environment.
Yotam, what about the criticism? And I know you've heard this from folks who say the problem is that a lot of times what we label as misinformation doesn't turn out to be that at all. Or perhaps, I mean, an example, and I know you've heard this, I'm sure, spring of 2020, Yotam, there were people saying, well, maybe the coronavirus didn't actually sort of spontaneously erupt in nature. Maybe it was actually from a lab in China. And go back to spring of 2020, that was misinformation. If you said it, you were a conspiracy theorist, you were a racist. Social media companies got to work snuffing out that idea. Spin ahead, report after report indicates, in all likelihood, that could be exactly what happened. Do you think there's a risk there that you label things misinformation, you get it shut down, but it's proven not to be at all?
Let's clarify here that at the time when people were spreading the lab theory, it was a conspiracy theory. Some of the things that we believe are true turn out to be wrong, and some of the things we believe are wrong might turn out to be true in the future. We're not prophets. All we can do is make sure that the spread of information that at the moment is thought to believe to be false and misleading is being isolated or by the very least not amplified on social media. I will say that in addition to the need to moderate misinformation and conspiracies during time of crisis like this, we should also expect those companies to do more to limit the amount of hate speech against racial groups, against ethnicities, against women or the LGBT community and others. So it's not just about misinformation.
In this case, though, Yotam, what I think is perhaps a new ratcheting up of this is, and I know you've studied sort of how this misinformation can affect how people feel and what they think. In the case of this war, there's even potential for it to affect the decisions that are being made on the ground, right? If there is actual, not just misinformation, but as our previous guest was talking about, doctored videos that seem real, for example. It seems like that there is now even a new risk that if there are decision makers that are seeing these videos, are they making decisions based upon that?
Well, we have to hope that decision makers have more reliable sources than X or Facebook, but I absolutely agree with the previous guest that it's getting harder and harder with the advancements in technology to identify deception online. It's becoming significantly easier to doctor an image or to alter a video. And we saw in the past that you can even make a world leader seem to be saying something that they didn't, and so on. I'm truly hopeful that those who make the actual decisions have more reliable sources. But for the rest of us, we should be very careful with what we are believing these days, with what we are sharing with others. We should focus on reliable sources, avoid partisan media and bloggers or all kind of pundits that are known to spread misinformation, and put our trust in fact checkers and established media, again, that proved to be reliable as possible in the past.
Yotam Ophir, University of Buffalo. Thank you so much for your time and insight, Yotam.
Thank you.